Thank you, and welcome to the premiere episode of Balena Canto's Variety Hour. I'm your host, Balena Canto, a classically trained opera singer, a cabaret artist, a librarian's assistant, and of course, a drag queen. All my life, I've been obsessed with the over-the-top and flashy variety shows of the 1960s and 1970s. On this show, you can expect to see musical performances, comedy sketches, interviews, games, special guests, and honestly, whatever I feel like. If you couldn't tell, I like to dip my toes into many waters. After all, variety, as they say, is the spice of life that gives it all its flavors. Must the winter come so soon? Night after night I hear the hungry deer wander weeping in the woods, and from his house of brittle bark puts the frozen owl. Must the winter come so soon? Here in this forest, neither dawn nor sunset marks the passing of the days. It is a long winter here. Must the winter come so soon? I have always loved giving people listening and watching recommendations when it comes to music, movies, TV, so I decided that I would create this little segment for you all. Now, because it is Black History Month, I will be talking about some of the most prolific Black American opera singers of the past and the present, and give you some of my favorite ever recordings that they have done. First, we have an icon that I honestly consider one of the best sopranos of the 20th century, Leontine Price. Her voice is so special. It has a metallic timbre to it. It's also rich and warm, incredibly powerful, and incredibly beautiful all at the same time. Often, metallic voices can be a little unnerving to some people, but hers is mixed with this warmness that just creates such a unique color. It's honestly otherworldly. She sings with such line and such support that her sound just goes and goes. Also, if you've ever seen interviews with her, she has this beautiful poise and air of elegance. She carries herself so well. She's just such a delight to watch. I think one thing that she does that helps with her beautiful voice is that it's all about the vowels. And when we sing with vowels. We also sing with consonants, that's how you connect everything, but it's really all about the vowels. I feel like this gives her the line that she is so famous for. Another unique thing is that even though her voice is so powerful and rich and warm, it soars. Especially her high notes. They just ring out beautifully. None of it is weighed down. If you could tell, I'm a little obsessed. My favorite thing she's ever done, role wise, is Aida. Now, just to give you one aria to listen to, it would definitely be from the third act, O Patria Mia, which translates to Oh my country, and after that, I shall never see you again. Basically, Aida is an Ethiopian queen and she's captured in Egypt and she knows that she's going to be put to death. It is a heartbreaking aria, and she sings it perfectly. Um, my favorite audio recording, it comes from 1962 from the Rome Opera House. It is available on Spotify and Apple Music. I will have all of these links I'm talking about in the description for you. A video for you to watch. This is her doing Aida for the final time. In fact, this is her final stage opera performance ever. It happened January 3rd, 1985 at the Metropolitan Opera. And what makes it so special a moment is she's saying goodbye to her country in the opera, and she's also saying goodbye to performing opera. So it's got this beautiful, bittersweet, sad parallel, and the acting is just incredible. Like I said, she's so poised and elegant, and she always carries that with her acting as well. Now, I'm going to give you another extra one because I love her so much, and you just really need to listen to these. So, Leontyne Price opened the New Met in 1966 with a new production, Antony and Cleopatra, written by Samuel Barber. Those two had a very close relationship. He wrote so many art songs for her and this role. She would go to his house and try different things. He would write something and she would sing it for him. Literally, he tailored this for her. Now, unfortunately, the premiere was negatively reviewed. Now, this really wasn't because of the singing, a little bit because of the music, but the big thing was Franco Zeffirelli, the famous director, who is famous for his lavish productions, and were technical difficulties with the stage. The pyramid was like there was a pyramid, there was on a turntable that failed. At one point, Leontyne Price gets stuck in the pyramid. So those technical issues definitely hindered what people thought of it. And also, Barber's music was really kind of meant for it to be more of an intimate experience, and this overdone production really kind of overshadowed the music. Now, it was revised by Barber, and his partner, the composer Giancarlo Menotti, helped him to revise it. He redid parts of the libretto. He took a lot out of it that wasn't working. He added this gorgeous love duet, which I'll tell you about. And that one was mounted a few times with better reception, but unfortunately it's really not done that often. That being said, my favorite two highlights, the duet that I just mentioned, Oh Take Those Lips Away, and the text is it comes from the Shakespeare play. So, you know, it's gorgeous Shakespeare that they adapted. That duet, you have to listen to that duet. It's just luscious, and it's very neo-romantic. This whole score is neo-romantic, which of course as an Italian and as an opera singer, I just fawn all over that stuff. And Cleopatra's suicide scene, Give Me My Robe. Ugh. It is epic, it's dramatic, it's high notes, it's so good. Audio recordings of those exist. There's a CD from 1984 called Leontyne Price Sings Barber. There's a lot of his art songs on there, all gorgeous, please listen. But there is that final scene, it's 9 minutes long with orchestra, and it's on that CD. It's available on Apple Music and Spotify. I will provide it in the link. If you decide to view the entire opera, I suggest that you listen to the Spoleto Festival production from 1983. This is the updated version. I don't believe Leontyne ever did version of it updated. And this stars another fantastic singer of color, Esther Hines. This is also available on YouTube, and Spotify. Next, we have another favorite of mine, Grace Bumbry, and she's from that same school as and time frame as Leontyne Price. My suggestion for you to introduce yourself to Grace Bumbry is her O Don Fatale from Don Carlo by Verdi. The specific recording is from the Royal Opera House Covent Garden from 1965, and it is available on Apple Music and Spotify. Now, her voice. So, Grace Bumbry is a mezzo-soprano. Now, the role of Princess Eboli, this is one of the hardest roles in the repertoire for a mezzo-soprano. It goes to the extremes. You have a high B in this aria, and it goes way low as well. Not everyone can do it, and you have to have a hefty voice, you have to have stamina, you have to have that breath support under you the entire time, and Grace Bumbry delivers, let me tell you. She has the strongest top and the chestiest bottom. It is so weird. Her top voice actually sounds almost like a lyric or like a full lyric or a spinto soprano. It's so bizarre. It's so powerful and pingy up there. No weight. It's fascinating. But then when she gets into her chest voice, it's just booming and big, and the transition in between is just, there's no indication that any sort of flip or that you don't, it's just seamless. It's just wonderful. Also, she has power but also agility to go to these extremes, and her Act 1 aria has a lot of coloratura in it, and she manages this perfectly. It's as if she is like switching Fachs. It's and Fach for the lay person out there just means voice type. The final thing I will say about her interpretation of this aria, out of all the mezzos I've heard sing this, to me, her B section, it's I'm pretty sure it's an ABA aria, but her B section has the most beautiful contrast to the A, the dynamics and the color. She changes her color again. It's light. It's light and soft, but still present. You still have the core of the sound there, and it just spins. She's on her breath, and the sound just spins and spins and spins, and it sounds so effortless and gorgeous, and just plays perfectly to the texts. So yes, she's wonderful. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's any video that you could just look up of this aria. There is one, and I will provide the link, but the audio is terrible if you just want to see her doing it and her acting. Now, our final singers of yore, Kathleen Battle and Jessye Norman. These are two powerhouse singers from the late 80s, early 90s. Jessye Norman's a dramatic soprano. Kathleen Battle is a coloratura light soprano. And they were in this production of Ariadne auf Naxos in, I believe it was 1989. And it's at the peak of their career. These roles are perfect for them. They both get to be like divas. Strauss's music is gorgeous. I think it's just a prime example to experience their two voices. They've done so much other wonderful things. Kathleen Battle's Christmas album is probably my favorite. I know we're past Christmas, but I'm just going to throw that out there. And what I find fun about this production is you can actually find, like, there's like a 14-minute video of them rehearsing, which is so fun to see their process. I will say, with a content warning, unfortunately this does contain the previous music director, James Levine, who has since had allegations of sexual assault brought against him. So if this is triggering for you, I do not suggest that you watch it. If you are able to watch it, it shows you the rehearsal process and how they learned and how they staged. So that's a really fun little insight. Now, the rehearsal videos are available on YouTube, and if you want to see the entire opera, you can see it on the Met On Demand subscription. You can get a 7-day free trial, which I suggest doing, so you can view that opera as well as treasure trove of many others. And if you keep signing up with different emails, you can keep doing the 7-day trial, just so you know. But you didn't hear it from me. Now, I do need to keep moving, but I will tell you of two more significant performances that you should look into from March of 1990, Spirituals in concert at Carnegie Hall with both Jesse Norman and Kathleen Battle. It is amazing, wonderful, gorgeous, with the Metropolitan Orchestra, the chorus, and also some members of the New York Philharmonic as well. It's fabulous. I highly suggest watching it. It's all on YouTube. And the very last thing I will say is the 200th anniversary of the French Revolution. Jesse Norman sang in France in front of this giant monument. I'm not totally sure which one it is, but I can pop a thingy here. I'll look it up. And she's wearing this amazing and ridiculous gown that is basically a giant French flag. It's the most epic thing. She's outside on this monument with crowds of people. There's like helicopters shining lights on her, and so she sings the French national anthem, La Marseillaise. La Marseillaise. Marseillaise. I should know how to say it correctly. I think it's something like that. But it's the most diva moment. It's just the most over-the-top best thing ever. It's very drag, and I highly suggest you watch it. It is also on YouTube. Now we move into some of the most upcoming and magnificent young black singers of our time. The first one I'd like to tell you about is Will Liverman. He is an American baritone. I've had the pleasure to sing in a show with him. I was in the chorus of Love for Three Oranges with Upper Philadelphia, and he had one of the leads. Such a sweet, kind-hearted, real person. Really enjoyed hearing him sing and getting to know him. Gorgeous, smooth, rich voice. Absolutely fabulous and wonderful musician. Singing everywhere, singing at the Met, you name it, he's there. For things to listen to from him, he has currently 2 CDs out right now, and one actually on its way, which is due to premiere next Friday on the 12th. So the 2 that are already out, from 2014, Steal Away, which contains spirituals arranged by an American composer of color, Sean E. Akpebolo. Excuse me if I am pronouncing that incorrectly. And that one is from 2014. Really fantastic and different arrangements for spirituals that you haven't heard before. His second album, Whither Must I Wonder, is from the beginning of 2020. And it has, the main thing is the Songs of Travel by Vaughan Williams, probably his most famous set written for baritone. Also, he has a set, 3 Saltwater Ballads by James Frederick Keel, who is another British composer from the 20th century. So a fabulous album there. And the one coming out next week is called Dreams of a New Day, and these are all songs by black composers. Here's the description for the album. African American art songs narrate the journey, trials, tribulations, and triumphs of African Americans in the United States. These stories are preserved through a melding of poignant texts and expressive musical settings, pairing the words of generations of poets and lyricists who have encapsulated seminal events from the African American community with rich musical textures amplifies these narratives. Unfortunately, this corpus of songs created by African Americans about the experience of Black Americans have long been deemed insignificant and relegated to a status of near invisibility. Will Liverman's rich baritone voice in Dreams of a New Day is the perfect conduit to reveal this compelling history in song. Some of the composers that will be heard on the album, 20th century pioneers like Henry Burleigh, Margaret Bonds, and Thomas Kerr, to Robert Owens, Leslie Adams, and contemporary composers like Damian Sneed, and the gentleman I mentioned in the second album who arranged the spirituals, Sean E. Okepolo. I'm so excited for this album to come out, not only because Will is an amazing singer and person, but because we really need to be exposed to the music of Black Americans in America. It's something that even us singers who go to college aren't necessarily exposed to. It's not a part of our repertoire classes, at least not when I was there. And I went to a major state school for undergrad, and then I went to a conservatory. And of course, you know, we study American composers, but there There's maybe one black composer mentioned. Um, Now I know this was 2000. This was between 2008 and 2016, and things could have changed. But honestly, it's a disgrace. I fully admit that at the time I didn't necessarily go out and seek this either or speak up about it. And we really need to do that. The music of African American classical composers is just as much a part of our history as any other composer, as Aaron Copland, as Bernstein, any of the greats you can think of. They are just as, if not more important, and we need to show them the respect and give them the exposure that they have deserved from day one. So I am very excited to explore this repertoire, and I hope that you take the time to do this as well. Now, if you'd like to see Will perform live, he is a part of East Passyunk Opera Project, and they are doing a concert called Love Notes. I will provide all of the information for that if you'd like. So this concert, the description, with a focus on inclusivity, cameo appearances will be made by several beloved Philadelphia couples, highlighting the many flavors of love. Repertoire for the concert will include favorites from opera, classical art song, and musical theater, a quirky turn or two, and some brand spanking new songs for our audience to discover. And there will be a Q&A to follow. Now that sounds like a fun night. And there's a lot of other young upcoming singers on that concert as well. I will provide, like I said, the link for that. So go and support Will. I believe it's an all-weekend event next Friday the 12th through the 14th. Next, we move on to American soprano Angela Brown. She has had an illustrious career. She co-starred as Addie Parker along with the famous tenor Lawrence Brownlee in Charlie Parker's Yardbird. This actually premiered in 2015 at Opera Philadelphia. I was in Cleveland at the time, so I unfortunately could not see that production, but I heard it had rave reviews. It also moved on to productions, I believe, like 5 or 6 more times over the next couple of years in different houses. So it received, it was very, very well received. There isn't a recording of the whole thing. You can hear highlights on Seattle Opera's SoundCloud, which I will link for you. I love that I'm doing it like it's going to pop up there, but this is going to be a Facebook stream, so that's not how that works. It'll all be in the description for you. So that was one of her recent major credits, and that opera is all about the real-life bebop innovator Charlie Yardbird Parker. Very interesting opera based on real life. Now, a very wonderful program that Angela Brown is doing as we speak. It is called Opera from a Sister's Point of View, which I love. Right now, it is being presented by Opera Birmingham in Alabama. It started on the 29th of January, and it's running through the 7th, so through this weekend. But then it is picked up right away by Cincinnati Opera on the 7th and will be running all the way through March 24th. So first, if you want to see it right away after you're done watching me, you can go on Opera Birmingham's site and pay to view it for the weekend. But if you can't go till later, then you'll go to Cincinnati Opera. You'll get access through there through the month of March, basically. So plenty of opportunities to watch this fabulous concert. So the description of this show. Traveling the world, international opera star Angela Brown noticed something about audiences. In quotes, I would see very few people who looked like me, says Brown. On the surface, it looked like a racial divide, but when Brown performed at schools and universities across the country, she realized the gap was bigger than race. This compelled her to create opera from a sister's point of view that dispels the myth surrounding the sometimes intimidating art form called opera. I love this because I totally agree. To the public, opera is such a scary thing. It's in different languages. It's long. It's super loud. It's just it's not what the public is used to because it's not popular. So of course, and human nature is something that you're not necessarily used to. You kind of shy away from. So I love that this program is looking to dispel that in the community. Continuing on, showcasing the fresh talent of rising black opera stars alongside Angela's tongue in cheek commentary on the opera plots from a black perspective. The show blows up preconceived expectations of opera. It helps people from all walks of life find themselves in and enjoy opera, and leaves no doubt of the ethnic, geographic, and socioeconomic diversity depicted in opera characters. Angela likes to say opera is not about being a certain way, dressing a certain way, speaking a certain way. It's about experiencing, and opera is for everyone. I full heartedly agree with that. There really is something for everyone. It might seem very highbrow at times, and unfortunately, up until now, the people that have been running opera, the higher ups, have kind of made it that way. I will say there is definitely gatekeeping, elitism, classism in opera that is unfortunately a sad fact, but it is changing. And it starts, I believe, with the people, with the community, with young singers, with this next generation who really need to put their foot down and say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to play into the system. I love opera so much. It's it's the complete art form. It's been described as that, and I full heartedly believe that because it's everything and anything, and it can be anything and everything, and that's why it's so special. And everyone needs to have access to it. I hope that it is a goal that we can achieve very, very soon. Please tune in. You have 2 months to watch it. I know it'll be tremendous, informative, and probably life changing. So please tune in. Please share it with a non opera lover and say, you gotta watch this. I know you think this opera is this hoity toity thing, but no, it's really this. And I think that this could really get through to that person. So share the love. The final singer for the series I'd like to highlight is the one and only Janae Bridges. She's a mezzo soprano. She's one of the leading mezzos today, sings all over the world. One very important thing that she was a part of was hosting a discussion on LA Opera's YouTube. This was back in June during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. It's a conversation along with some other leading black singers in the community, including Lawrence Brownlee, the tenor that we had mentioned before, Russell Thomas, Julia Bullock, Karen Slack, and Morris Robinson. So the point of having this YouTube discussion along with this panel was to talk about the racial disparity and inequality in the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement. It is such an important, a vital, and a powerful discussion. Anyone in the arts world really needs to hear because it's not just opera. There's systemic racism and prejudice against people of color in all of the art forms. And like I said, this is an amazing, vital discussion. And these singers not only talk about it in general, but they share their personal experiences, which I know must take a lot of strength to do. So this is a gift for all of us to watch and to absorb and to be better as allies and as a society. So please, please watch that panel discussion, Lift Every Voice, a conversation hosted by Janae Bridges on LA Opera's YouTube channel. I will put the link for you. And one more thing that Janae, she was part of an album release, The Passion of Yeshua by Richard Danelpour, available on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. She's a featured soloist, and it was nominated for a bunch of Grammys for the 2020. Congratulations, Janae, that is awesome. Please take a listen on those platforms. And thus concludes our listening and watching portion of the show.
Winter was warm, summer worse off than here, though winter was warm, without a sign of frost, like winter lost its way that year. It seems as I recall, no blossoms fell that fall. They didn't leave at all, or did love paint an illusion? Now trees with a sigh stand and shiver while their leaves fall and die, and all my dreams are there, wrapped up somewhere in summer leaves. Oh, what I'd give to be in love again. This year the winter is cold. Will it ever be warm as it was then? Trees with a sigh stand and shiver while their leaves fall and die, and all my dreams are there, wrapped up somewhere in summer leaves. Oh, what I'd give to be in love again. This year the winter is cold. Will it ever be warm as it was then?
Have you dedicated your entire life and wallet to the craft of singing, all without achieving your desired results? Do you have the voice of an aging basso profondo when you've always wanted to sound like a sprite young sufficient dramatic coloratura soprano? Does the sound of your voice tend to conjure an angry mob hurling shouts and jeers of disgust instead of the calm and sweet tweets and pitter-pattering of cheerful woodland creatures ready to help you construct your latest gown for the ball? Well, my poor unfortunate soul, if this sounds like you, then I've got the answer. You need Ursa's singing shell. This magical product will give you any voice you desire. That's right, any. just be in the general vicinity of your favorite singer, either live or on recording, and whisper "Sing" into the shell. Within moments, that voice will be yours.
Ursula's singing shell may cause blindness, hearing loss, permanent nerve damage, Ebola virus, gout, flesh-eating bacteria, tinnitus, laryngitis, strep throat, bronchitis, pneumonia, depression, hair loss, weight gain, fluid retention, mad cow disease, schizophrenia, hair growth, skin growths, early onset dementia, transform into a shriveled green kelp-like version of yourself with a very sad face, and extremely painful and antagonizing death. Ursula's singing shell is not responsible for any legal action taken against you by the party whose voice was borrowed, nor are they responsible for any injury, maiming, or death thither caused. Ursula's singing shell holds the right to collect payment of your soul at any moment of any second of any day for the remainder of your natural or unnatural life.
And for our international customers, check out our sister product, Jezzy Baba's Singing Tonic. You'll burst like a bubble with anticipation. So don't wait. Call 666-1313 now and place your order. A new voice and a new life awaits.
Hello, we have our very first guest for our first show here. We have one of my good friends, Marcel McGurk. Do I say that correct? Did I say that correctly?
McGurk.
I didn't know if you pronounced all the vowels in between.
It gets everybody. You are not alone. At least you didn't turn the G into a Q. I get McCork all the time. I don't know.
That's cute. That's cute.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Marcel is an amazing singer. She's a classical singer, opera singer, classically trained. She does many other things that we'll get into, but I just would like if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your musical journey, your background, whatever you'd like to touch on. That would be amazing.
You don't know what you're getting into.
I'm here for it all.
No, I mean the shortened version, I suppose. Who am I in this moment today? I'm a classically trained soprano. I don't know, a person deeply fed up with the status quo in the operatic industry and even in other aspects of my life. And so spend a lot of time kind of building my own opportunities. I am launching a opera company at this very moment with Balena, Dramatic Arts Ensemble, which is going to be our way to bring a little more equity to the opera industry. Strictly speaking, not an opera company, but more of a experimental vocal arts group.
Yeah, so tell me a little. Yeah, I know it. I obviously I love open ended. That's why when Strings and Things asked me to do a show, I said I'm going to do a variety show because then it means I can do whatever I want whenever I want. I don't like being put in boxes, as I'm sure you don't either. So I love leaving things open ended.
Right. I mean, I feel like no boxes is the story of my life as a genderqueer bisexual person.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. And I see that reflected in your fashion right now, which I am absolutely obsessed with.
Thanks.
Do you have purple hair? I can't tell. My eyes are like all crappy. Yes.
I'm like super in like needing a haircut. One, because this is normally all shaved down, and like a re-purpling.
Oh, so
I
good.
think the last time I braved the salon was like November.
Well, hey, quarantine. Like, I don't blame you. Right. It's crazy. It's insane.
Quarantine and not as much money as normal.
That too. But
so.
Yeah, but regardless, your purple hair is like becoming so iconic, and I'm here for it.
Thank you. Oh no, I actually have an appointment as a stylist, and they were like, "Oh, what color are you going to go this time?" I'm like, "It's purple.
It's purple.
It's purple for a long time, I think."
I don't blame. Hey, if you like something, go for it.
Right.
That's all I have to say. Right. So tell me a little bit more about Prismatic.
Kind of the origin story is you're part of it. But really it originally started as kind of last summer as an like of
Mhm.
2019. God, what year is it now?
Ugh.
As an idea that kind of was born out of my collaboration with a dear friend of mine, Mark Loria, who is a keyboardist, so pianist and an organist. And he and I are really into have a deep love for like art song, but also immersive theater. So
Yes.
we're both like really inspired by the things that Punch Drunk Productions have been doing. So
Oh, cool.
more in New York City is a show that we both have a real love for.
Mhm.
And so we've both been talking for ages about like, well, what would immersive art song recital look like? And so art song, for anyone watching who doesn't know, is classical singing, but it's not, there's no usually a storyline to it. So an opera is a narrative from start to finish,
Mhm.
where art song is usually poetry. Sometimes the poems are related to one another and they tell kind of a vignette of a story, but oftentimes they're not related. They're only related thematically.
Mhm.
And so we don't, art song isn't performed a lot anymore. In the old days, it was done in like a salon setting, so in people's homes, very kind of impromptu get together type thing, not necessarily in a big house. And so
Mhm.
we had the idea of like, well, what would happen if we create storylines around song cycles, and what if we make immersive theater out of that? What would that look like? Is that a thing a modern audience would like?
Mhm.
Would it kind of bring a new spin on the art form? Um, yeah, and so that kind of was like playing around in our head for a little while. And when the pandemic hit, I was like, I should really focus my energies seeing if I can make this work. Like, fast forward to October, and we were on a call together,
Commiserating.
like commiserating about how fucked up the standard opera industry is, and
Yes.
how frustrated we were with how much of a disservice it was doing to our artists, particularly in a pandemic, like still asking for application fees when we're out of work. I
And
mean,
it's still going on. It still hasn't. I mean, there's been a little bit of progress. Some of the houses have been
right.
doing no application fees or lessening ones, but not by many compared to all the things that are out there. I just saw another Yap Tracker competition get post that was like a $200 fee. Like,
I just,
how?
I don't know. And like the short version of this, again, for anyone who's watching, who's not an opera singer or in the opera world, essentially what's happening is that opera companies are making young artists who are already in debt from music school pay for their job application. Like, you have to pay money for them to even look at your resume to say, yes, we want to hear you sing in person. So there's some ethical questions going on there to begin with, and like the
Very
questions are
true.
valid and straightforward, and they try to get around the legality by saying that they're training programs, which some of them legitimately are.
Yeah.
But there's also the larger question of like, if you're an arts organization who's running as a business, why are you passing the cost of doing business onto your young singers? Like
It's
that's a model.
insane.
It's a model that needs to change. So we were commiserating about that. We both decided that we were going to bow out of audition season this fall.
Best thing I ever did.
Me too. Oh my
For my
God.
mental health, for my emotional, just
Right.
yes.
Right. Best decision I made. And so on that call, I said, what do you think would happen if we took all of this frustration and like tried to channel it into something productive? Like, let's do something together.
Yes.
And Matt pitched me an incredible idea that then kind of spurred me on to say, you know what, it's time to stop sitting on this idea. If I don't make it happen, no one's going to. And so our first concert is on February 12th.
Yes.
Part of the mission of the group is also going to be, there's some multi-directional stuff to it, hence the term prismatic, right? We're shifting the way we look at classical music, but also what happens when we create an arts ensemble that, for singers of color, for LGBTQ singers who can come into not only the rehearsal space authentically as who they are, but also bring their full selves into a performance rather than having to conform to kind of cis het stereotypes. A lot of traditional opera is written in that mode. We don't get to show up authentically as ourselves often in the characters we portray.
Yes.
And so kind of our goal is to let's make that a reality and also make sure that there's some real gender and racial parity in our casting, in the people we hire to do our graphic design and admin work, and the artists we're collaborating with. Let's be the company we want to see.
Exactly. And I think it does begin with these grassroots efforts, because the higher ups in our industry, they're just not really doing it, and they're not going to do it unless I don't know what it's going to take for them. So I really do think it's things like what you and what we're doing that's going to help really change and turn the tide.
Right.
And it's so important, and I'm so grateful that you're doing this and that you're letting me be a part of it. It's
I'm so
so
happy
imperative.
you're with me. I'm so
Thank
happy
you.
you're here with me. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I think honestly, so many opera companies are already on their back foot. Like any classical arts organization, and not even classical arts organizations, like they're on the back foot. They've been on the back
Mhm.
foot. They don't have enough funding.
Exactly.
And so like there's, I think really, short of white supremacy, but also money, economics are at the bottom of this, I think, reluctance to change too. It's like, oh, well, our
Mhm.
donor base is old and racist oftentimes. And so we need to make sure we can still have money, still not okay. And so there's less willingness, I think, to try a different model.
Yeah.
I think people need to like show these bigger organizations there is a different way.
And I think one thing that you and I both agree with is that the arts, any kind of form of the arts, it's for the community that it serves,
Right.
not for the board of directors or the, whoever's shelling out the cash. It's for the community.
Right.
And that's something that we really want to get back to serve the community.
Exactly.
Because I mean, art, yes, it's entertaining. It's that's part of it, and we love that too. But it's more than just that. It's political. It's activism. It's you want to be able to change the gears up here and get people thinking and making people feel deep emotional, visceral responses. And getting the people in the community included in that, and serving them.
And really, like the community that you're serving, oftentimes, when it really resonates, it's the community the artists belong to.
Yes.
I mean, I can't tell you, I have a lot of white privilege, I was going to say it, but I'm half Puerto Rican. And like, I cannot tell you the number of times I have auditioned for a West Side Story, killed the audition, and been passed over for a non-Latinx person. Like, not saying I was the only person they should have cast as Maria, because but literally Bernstein was like super clear.
Yeah.
This should be cast with the people who this story belongs to. And exactly. I have been in many auditions and watched people who do not belong to the Latinx community being cast as Maria, be cast as, I'm going to blank on the other.
Anita.
Yeah. Like, and I want to be able to show up in my, authentic kind of like, I don't know, New Yorkican is my mom's really heritage. And so like,
I love it.
Is that be able to show up and be, genderqueer in my characters and
tell a story that's, part of your history.
Right.
It's
talk about, I don't know, I feel like queer art so often like focuses on the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
The project that Balena and I are working on for the fall for Prismatic is kind of us saying, well, how do we talk about that struggle, but then also be coming to the other side of that, and how people the other side of that within the context of like the most traditional opera you can possibly get.
We're vague booking because we don't want to spill the beans right now.
Right now, but like the storytelling we want to do is what happens when you take, actually an opera that was originally like a queer piece of art, period. Kind of reclaim that, but then also put it in a modern context and play with, like, talk about, do storytelling around gender identity and not in a way that's like going to make people walk away feeling like, oh, sad and thoughtful. Like, I want you to walk away thoughtful, but I want you to feel happy for the people who have gotten to the other side of that struggle.
Yes.
And are claiming it and are just like existing in the world with it, because that's powerful.
It's amazing. Exactly. Yes. So why don't we talk a little bit about the performance that's happening next Friday? All about, so yeah, tell me about, is the title of the whole thing is called Night Dances, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, tell us about night dances and
So
what will happen, what everybody will see and hear.
I am so psyched for this project. I'm also really stressed out about it.
I cannot wait. I
because
seriously,
just because I'm like so in it and I like care about it so much.
totally.
And so night dances is going to be we're like, okay, we have to launch this opera company or this ensemble in the middle of a pandemic, which makes immersive theater hard to do. And so how do we make immersive theater happen while people are stuck at home? So what we're doing is we've hired a mixologist who is curating a specially themed cocktail and dessert recipe to
It's so
go with
fun.
the music for the night. But we're also going to kind of shift that paradigm again. Lots of people have been giving at-home concerts, which is them and a pianist or them and a track. We've all done them, kind of just standing and singing,
Mhm.
which is a very traditional, it works. But we were kind of like, we don't want to do more of the same. And so
And it doesn't really translate well virtually, to be honest.
it does,
It's different. It's different when you're live.
right.
It's fine when you're live. But it just, it was fine in the beginning, but really like we're a year in, like let's be innovative. Let's
Right.
actually use the medium that we're forced to being used, and make it work.
Yeah. I mean,
And you're doing that, which is awesome.
I think we're really on the frontier of like adding a new layer to the art form
Totally.
through this. And so what we've come up with is actually, we've pre-recorded all of the music, and now we're going through and we're filming through story for the two cycles of art song that we have. And so the first is we commissioned a piece by composer Felix Gerard
Yes.
called Vampire Delights, and so it's going to be super campy. And I love it. It's a little bit What We Do in the Shadows meets maybe True Blood.
Ooh, spicy.
It's spicy and a little on the nose, and but it's also about a sex positive polyamorous vampire.
Yes, we love sex positivity.
I'm digging it. We are having a ball. Felix wrote the text and has composed the music, and it is a really charming piece. And then we're following that up with Juliana Hall's composition called Night Dances, hence the name of the concert, which is a collection of poems by female poets. So Elizabeth Bishop and Nassim Finson-Millay, Emily Bronte, and Emily Dickinson are all contributing poets to the texts. Our director, Brittany Goodwin, has conceived a little more of a abstract storyline for this set. And in that case, Balena is going to step in and do some amazing video wizardry. I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
I can't wait to do that. I really enjoy. I do really enjoy editing now. It's become a lot of fun. Now that we're in this medium, I've kind of taught myself video editing and kind of infused some of my old love of photography and the more of a visual arts aspect into it. And I love comedy and camp, so I can infuse there too with all the crazy little special effects tricks that I'm learning. So I'm super excited for that.
Well, and it's interesting because like I am a film lover, and I have some background in graphic design work, so like I have a good eye for design.
Yes.
But like I've never had to apply it to actually filming, and so as we've been kind of heading into the first week of filming, it's been really fun to just see how working in a slightly different medium has suddenly just like exploded my creativity in ways I didn't expect. I was like, I'm so full of ideas. I'm like, oh, if we do this angle from here and we do this shot, and like, oh, we can really flesh out this character if we do a shot of this or that. And so it's been really, some of those ideas may not translate on film at all. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
We'll see. It's a learning process, but we'll figure it all out.
I'm having so much fun. Like,
I'm so glad.
So much fun. I feel like the most like myself that I have probably since the start of the pandemic.
That's beautiful.
Great. And then after the music, we will have a live Q&A with the entire creative team.
Yes.
Social aspect as well to the performance, so we can kind of just, we want that theater experience as much as we can get it through the screen. So cocktails with the mixologist. She's going to walk people through how to make it. So it's a little hands-on, and everyone's going to sit back, enjoy the sensory delight of the snack, the dessert, and the cocktail with the oral delight of the music, and then kind of come together for some community to talk through the pieces in the process.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'll have all the where you can buy tickets and all the info. I'll have that in the video and on the description and all of that. So please, please, please tune into Night Dances. And it's Friday, 7:30. Wait, what is it?
7:30
Yeah,
is
7:30.
happy hour. It's only 30
Yes.
minutes.
Whatever.
7:30, and curtain is somewhere around 8 o'clock. Any ticket holders who can't watch the night of the 12th, for whatever reason, kids, other commitments, and then tune in. You'll be able to watch the recording through to the 19th.
That's amazing. I cannot wait. So, Marcel also has a podcast that she's been doing with our friend Elise Mark. You've been doing it. It's 2 years now, right? You have 2 seasons out.
2 seasons, and we're planning season 3 in the middle of all of this too.
Oh my gosh, you do so much. I don't know how you do it.
I burn too many ends of the candle. I have more wicks than I have candle. I don't know. It doesn't work sometimes.
I totally get that. So tell us about My So-Called Opera Life, which is the title of the podcast.
So again, kind of coming back to this theme of community, Elise and I, kind of similarly, we had been, doing the opera grind, doing the auditions, the whole thing, and we're both feeling frustrated as we watched other young singers come up behind us and be frustrated by the same hurdles that we had faced when we were first starting out. And the two of us were kind of like, why isn't there a resource? Like, why isn't there a podcast yet saying like, hey, here's a way to like track all of your audition information. And here's the things that we do to help ourselves stay on top of the 5,000 projects we're doing. And so it really started as a way to kind of just create resources and build community for other young singers. Also for us too, we're like, well, we could interview some people who are a little farther along than us and hopefully learn from them as we talk with them. This past year, the podcast took a little bit of a change in a more focused direction, really leaning more into the community aspect, and also again, like trying to disrupt and start conversation around these issues that are really, sexism and classism and ageism and all the isms that are plaguing the industry. I mean, in a nutshell, opera is about 25 years behind everybody else, at least, in that respect. So, this past, especially considering like the murder of George Floyd this past summer, we're like, we really need to rethink what we were planning to do for this past season. And, both of us care very deeply about these issues in our personal life, and we're really tired of compartmentalizing that out of our work. So the podcast has pivoted now. We've had some really interesting interviews with the Agma Soloist Coalition, which is a group which is working to help modernize and bring about some change in the opera union, and also to kind of get more awareness with the younger singers who are not part of the union yet, to kind of say like, hey, you need to be thinking about joining the union. Also, this is why it's important to be in the union. And even if you're not in the union yet, because it doesn't make sense for where you are in the career, you need to be standing up for yourself and asking to be paid what you're worth, asking for your time to be valued.
And unfortunately, our union is probably one of the worst in terms of like what they give back to their artists. But, people like this coalition are working tirelessly to change that.
Right. Well, and a grassroots effort that's growing up around it is incredible, because for the first time in the 10 years that I've been in this industry, in this opera singer specific Facebook groups, like we are seeing companies get called out by name for not paying their artists well, for scamming them on paying them, for like whatever sort of sexual harassment that's being tried to be swept under the rug. There would be like whispers of this kind of stuff behind the scenes. Like there were secrets that everybody knew about certain people in the industry, but never really open conversation amongst the artists. And I think if the pandemic has done anything for our community, it's leveled that playing field and really helped us all to see that we're all in the same boat.
Yes.
And we need, like, the industry thrives off of us feeling like we're isolated and that we don't have a support system, when really all of us singers are in this together, and we need
We
to
are.
work into each other. And the only way we're going to disrupt these power structures is if we are working together, giving each other the heads up, and not being afraid of the, in quotations, them.
Amen. Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I'm so glad that that is finally transpiring. And I really do wonder if it would have happened without the, I hate to say it, but without the pandemic, because now that everybody's stopped, there's nothing going on. We've had time to finally sit with ourselves and realize, oh crap, this isn't right. We're being taken advantage of to the umpteenth level. Like,
Right. The biggest thing that I think helped to level that playing field was it was always level. We were just led to believe that it wasn't. And like the pandemic, I think disproportionately probably affected the singers who were at the top of the ladder,
mm,
who are singing at the Met, who have full-time singing careers, who don't have parallel careers alongside their singing work. Because
right.
their contracts got canceled and they didn't get paid. So like their entire year's income gone.
Yeah, it's
Um,
insane.
and so suddenly the big players in the industry have a vested interest in speaking up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Sad that it didn't happen before, but
right. I mean, it's a sad thing about human nature. A lot of people do not get involved with activism unless it's a thing that affects them personally most of the time.
yeah, yeah.
You
I will say though that before part of it was the fear that you would be excommunicated
right.
because we all thought,
If I speak
these
up,
people have all the power. They can, just throw you out with one word.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So there is that aspect too.
Right.
Just give me your favorite moment on your podcast.
The most like emotionally powerful moment to me actually was our season 2 finale, where Lisa and I kind of like did a recap of kind of all of the twists and turns that the podcast had to take over season 2 because of the pandemic and all of the stuff
Yeah.
happening. And there's a moment in that episode where we both kind of are reflecting on how the pandemic quite literally has made us rethink about how we're using our voices as humans and as singers, and kind of reflecting on the growth that we've both seen happen
Mm-hmm.
for each other. But even beyond that, like listening to the other person say how they've seen you grow. And if you are anyone like me who is often, I'm anxious and often depressed, and so it's really hard for me to see the forest for the trees. I don't know, that moment was just really powerful. And I think for me, at least, I want to speak for Elise, but for me, it really helped to ground me in a lot of the decisions I was even kind of making around the same time in terms of shifting some of my career things around.
Mm-hmm.
And there's power in that.
Mm-hmm.
The pandemic literally took my voice away from me for like 4 months, which as a singer or as a human who relates to the world first and foremost through music and through my singing, it was a real struggle for a little while to figure out, what do I do when I've lost my voice?
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And so to kind of like struggle through that, but then have someone you love dearly kind of see that and acknowledge that and go, but like, and then mutually to do that. It was just a powerful thing.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that inspires me. And I think I know it'll inspire many others because, like you said before, we're not alone. We're all going through this together.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do some fun things.
Okay.
It's a word association game. So I'm going to read a list of 10 words. They all have to do with either classical music, opera, music in general, just things from our world. And just respond immediately. Don't think with either another word or another phrase that comes to your mind. All right. First one, quando men vo.
Sex pot. If that's not
Best answer.
if that is not a dominatrix, come hither, Aria.
Yes. Best answer ever. All right, number 2, hurdy-gurdy.
Scandinavia.
I love this. Gaff tape.
I know what that is. I mean, marking places.
Right? Sorry. I was trying to think of the most random thing. Yeah, and that's a hard one. That's a stretch. I don't know if you've experienced this, but the techies and the stage people have like all the colors on like a string and then they have it to their belt. I love that. I love
I mean,
that.
a quick anecdote about that. Beginning because I was setting up like just teach from my home studio digitally all of a sudden. I want a consistent camera angle every week for my music stand. My laptop on my music stand, and I literally got clear hockey tape because it was clear. Because I didn't want to like see the tape on the floor all the time, but I like put it on the stand and then I taped the floor so I would have like the perfect setup every time.
Yes, hot tips from Marcel for your teaching studio.
Little
I love
OCD.
that. All right, number 4, Sprechstimme.
Extended techniques.
Ooh, yes. Okay. Number 5, Picardy third.
Somehow a club sandwich with a pickle on top popped in. Clearly it's time for dinner.
Oh my God, that's so cute. Okay, this one is going to be telling. Jewel. Don't think about it.
I mean, the only thing I immediately thought of was Jewel the artist.
Oh,
I was
nice.
trying to remember what song she was famous for to just sing it at you, but
Standing Still. I know Standing Still. That's the only one.
I mean, my brain immediately went to Sarah McLachlan because I listened to a lot of Sarah McLachlan at the same time.
They're similar.
Not the same person.
They're similar. I was thinking in my mind that you would either say Jewel tone or Jewel song.
I'm not a Marguerite, so
you surprised me and I love it. All right, moving on. Yap Tracker.
Dumpster fire.
Yes. Intermezzo.
Foreplay.
I actually really agree with that because I don't like just at the beginning. I like in between too. So I'm very very much identify with that. If anybody wanted to know, now you do.
Close and personal with Balena Canto.
Yes. Okay, we have 2 more.
All right.
Nico Castel.
Oh, sweetheart. I know his wife.
Really?
Yeah. She directed a show I was in and she was so lovely. Yeah. And stories about him are just like, it's very clear that he was truly a sweetheart.
And for people who don't know, he has a series of volumes, massive volumes with translations of almost every opera. And the big part is the IPA or International Phonetic Alphabet. And that's how us as singers, part of the way we learn how to pronounce everything that we sing in all the different languages is we learn how to read this phonetic language. So it's just this massive volumes that we would all be lost without. So that's what the significance of that if you're not an opera singer. All right, the last one. It's a dramatic one, of course. Immolation.
Oh. I mean, I immediately went to our vampire piece and I'm just like, orgasm, please.
If I died in ecstasy and I just burst into flames, I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
Easy, 1, 2, like you're automatically cremated and you just go.
And then you end up going out feeling like the most euphoric thing.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us and for coming here and for shining your beautiful soul and light on us all. This has been such a joy and a privilege and a delight. Just where, and I'll put all this info in the descriptions and whatnot, but where can everyone find you on the socials?
Sure. So pretty much everywhere that I'm on socials, I use the handle Soaring Soprano. So that's Instagram. Prismatic Ensemble is Prismatic Ensemble on Facebook and Instagram. Margaret Soprano on Facebook.
All right. Well, thank you again, and we will catch you soon. Remember, next Friday, 7:30, Prismatic Ensemble will be presenting Night Dances. please tune in and support. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. I'll see you soon. We'll talk soon.
Sounds
Take
good.
care.
Bye.